All right. So, I'm doing something I don't normally do. I'm giving a little bit of a review. So, here's my review and my thoughts on Tainted Grail. So, uh, it wasn't too long ago, just back in February, that I 100%ed Skyrim finally after a very long time. And I guess that's one of the things that drew me to playing Tainted Grail. I'd heard a lot of people singing its praises on the internet and talking about how it was such a completely opposite experience to the apparent disappointment that Avowed was. Never played Avowed, and I'm not gonna bag on that game because I haven't played it. But I played a lot of other games like in this genre. Witcher 3, Fallout 4. I put a lot of hours into that. Fallout New Vegas, not so many hours. I just started playing the remaster of Oblivion, and so I've got, I think, at least a decent enough background in these kind of games to have an understanding of what they should be and what you can expect to get out of them. So I played my entire complete playthrough on adventurer difficulty. I thought, okay, I don't like to dive headlong into games and then get my ass handed to me and think, oh, this game sucks. So I generally go for playing on the standard difficulty to trying to play the game in the spirit that the devs intended. And I thought that for the most part worked out, but not entirely, and I'll get to that later. But overall impression was I enjoyed this game. I really liked it. I really loved the aesthetic, the atmosphere. The story was actually pretty good. It was compelling enough for me to want to know what's going to happen next and what the background of King Arthur's whole situation was, and why did Caradoc have such a visceral hatred of Arthur, and what led to this sad state of affairs that was Avalon now. So, setting aside the prologue, which is, it's just a extended tutorial, I'm going to go right into Act 1, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like. Same thing with Act 2, Act 3, and then wrap it up. So, starting off with Act 1, I felt like it was really good to explore. Like, my sense of discovery was thoroughly satiated as I went through Act 1. The ruinous environment really matched the aesthetic and made it feel like this was a place that was collapsing and under some kind of curse, basically. I enjoyed the variety of quests, from the inconsequential side quests like helping the noblewoman with getting set up in a new house, to helping one of the guards in his war against the seagulls. It really just kind of lent a lot of verisimilitude to the world, made it feel like there were other things going on than just your quest. There were other people with other motivations, and although at times I did begin to feel like I was Mr. Fix-It, it's, to be fair, in these kind of games, that's why you're playing the game, right? You're kind of the friendly neighborhood fix-it-all helper, in a sense. Of course, you can just totally bypass that stuff, and who cares, right? You can just let it go. And on top of that, I really liked the introduction of the other factions. I thoroughly enjoyed the introduction of the Children of Morrigan faction. I happened to come across that particular quest line completely not knowing what I was getting into. And like when it came down to the choice of whether to back one side or the other in being introduced to that faction, I felt like I had a weighty choice on my hands. Like, what's going to happen if I go against these people? Am I going to get smoked? Is this going to, be something that will trail me throughout the rest of my playthrough? So that was so good. Yeah, I don't want to say anything to spoil it because it's just such a delightful moment. Same thing with meeting the representative of the Alchemist Guild. That was a fun, kind of unexpected adventure. That's the thing about Act 1. Act 1 is just, the first time you play it, is filled with all these unexpected, delightful Easter eggs. And it really felt like you were uncovering an undiscovered kind of underworld beneath the surface of the world that you're interacting with, throughout most of your gameplay. I really enjoyed it. And that culminated in opening up Lancelot's tomb. The first time I did that, I was like, what is this? How is this place hidden? And it's just this whole huge, gorgeous looking hidden world. Same thing is true for discovering what's beneath the Lake of Blood. It's just so many enjoyable moments like that peppered throughout Act 1, that every time I booted up the game to play, I felt like, what's going to happen next? What's around the corner? Which brings me into Act 2. I really felt that continuance of discovery and wanting to find out more about the world as I went into Act 2. And you get a sense going into Act 2 of like just who's in control, what are the forces who have a say over this place. What are they like? With the intrigues of the Red Priests in Kunacht, the kind of reluctance of the commander of Camelot's forces who's trying to uproot and move the people of Kunacht out and relocate them to Camelot, and you get this sense of like everybody's just kind of given up in that town. The town looks run down, the inn's closed, everything's kind of falling apart. And as you go along and kind of help the people out in the town with their various problems, you feel like you're kind of turning the tide and making a positive impact in their lives, and that maybe things can be turned around. Definitely some of the, for me, peak side quests and peak content was in Act 2. I thoroughly enjoyed finding Sagramore. Again, that my encounter with that was completely, just off, unplanned. Right? I was doing something else, and I happened to dive into some water and find this portal. I'm like, well, there's a portal. Let's go through it, and then boom, you're in this what feels like another dimension. And there's giant castles and, statuesque, mushroom-bound people. It's just, the whole thing is crazy. And then you start to interact with all the denizens of the castle of Sagramore and find out what's going on with those people. Again, so much fun. Although in Act 2, in spite of it being like the peak for me, it's also where the game starts to drop off for two reasons. One, I kind of felt like my power level was beginning to seriously outstrip the enemies in the game. Now, I suppose I could have gone into settings and bumped up the difficulty to veteran, but I don't know if I would have wanted to do that or not. I started off on adventurer, and I thought, the game, in theory, should, keep pace in challenge with my power level. I played basically a pure caster with a full specialization in summoning. And by the end of Act 2, I was destroying everything. Like, I did get my ass kicked at the kind of culmination of Act 2 when you have to go in and deal with, Sir Gawain, I think is the knight that's buried in Act 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. And the Green Knight. Yeah, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The Green Knight, boom, no problem. The Sir Gawain, as soon as you defeat the Green Knight, he gets up and starts attacking you. I wasn't expecting that. And my summons were acting a little janky at that time. So I had a few reloads to go through and then just go in there, get buffed up, and be ready for the fight. And after that, it wasn't a problem. So it was, even though it was annoying to have to reload a couple of times to get my head around the fight, the fact that you beat one dude and then immediately up pops another one who, while you've got your back turned, usually, and you get like, two shot and you're just dead because what are you going to do? It was from there that like my power just began to go through the roof. I was getting super powerful spells. I was able to invest in my armor, which buffed all of my relevant stats across the board. And although it took a little bit of time to finish all the miscellaneous side quests before going off into Act 3, it felt like nothing. I was unstoppable, and like I really began to like have no regard for the enemies that I was coming across in just about every fight, and that doesn't feel good. I think when you start to lose tension like that, when you start to see there are no stakes because you're unstoppable, it really begins to drain the impetus to keep going and take things seriously, which brings me to Act 3. Now, I love the environment of Act 3. It's really cool to look at the giant swords sticking out of the mountains, the kind of desolate and forlorn frozen nature of the higher mountain peaks. All very good, very evocative. The tribes in the area are all very distinct in their character, which was nice. Like they're like the Svein are very different from the Theud, which are very different from the Volker, which are very different from the Ulfar, right? All different, easily distinguishable. Gave them a nice flair and believability. But after a while, especially doing all of the quests for the various tribes to get them on board to go to the great meeting of the tribes, I was over it. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. There were some interesting ones. Like the Tainted one was super interesting. You go into this like world where there's like pocket dimension where all the members of that tribe are surrendering to sleep and doing this stuff. I'm not gonna get too much into it. It was pretty cool. Like the premise was pretty cool. Same with the Svein. You're tasked to go kill the god of this tribe. But here is where things fall off. You would think that a battle against a god in the god's domain would pose some kind of threat, some kind of danger. Wrong. It was laughable. It was a joke. I had, by this point, I had twin fireballs, and I just sat there. Choo 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 choo. Boom. Dead. Nothing. Zero stakes. Zero danger. I just laughed. I'm like, ha, okay, great. I just killed your god for you. You can thank me later. And that's the big, to me, that's the big flaw of Act 3. By the time I got to the end dungeon, I was so dismissive of the enemies. Like this dungeon is supposed to be like the culmination of everything, right? It's supposed to be, I assume, the most challenging content of the game. Now, granted, this isn't some kind of like, super sweaty game where, it's super hard or anything, but it should pose a challenge. It should, make it so that like the things you've accumulated, your skills, your powers, your build, your gear investment should be put to the test. I'm not saying like beat your head against the wall, shit, I died, reload, go again, but maybe one or two times, and you got to think, well, what do I need to dial in here to deal with these things? But that wasn't that at all. I just walk up, twin fireball, everything, go through. And by that point, too, I was kind of done with the dialogue and stuff, and I was, just kind of skipping through it, and I don't know. It didn't feel very good at the end. So if I had to, imagine putting a graph up, the prologue starts with a line going up, and then you kind of plateau for a little bit at Act 1, and then as you go into Act 2, you peak, say for me, at the finding Sagramore and those kind of things, and then as you progress through the end of Act 2 into Act 3, you're just on a downward slope. Now, I will say, I did get a little bump back up when I got to the epilogue, and you get to see the outcome of your choices. That was very satisfying to see. You did this, you chose this, these things happened. Tying into that, I would say I was a little disappointed with where the storylines regarding the different factions went. I felt like the Alchemist faction didn't go anywhere. Like, okay, I did this thing, and so what? When it came to the end of the Children of Morrigan faction story, the choice I made seemed like the only logical choice, because I felt like there were basically two sub-factions within that storyline, except I only ever interacted with one of those sub-factions. I'm only introduced to the second sub-faction basically near the end of the entire faction's storyline. And I'm like, why am I supposed to care about the leader of this sub-faction who I've never interacted with? I mean, it was fun finding out who that person was, but why do I care about you? I've been dealing with this other person who's far more interesting and compelling. This second character shows up. I'm like, And so when it's time to choose between the one I have a little bit of a relationship with and the one that I'm just suddenly introduced to, I'm like, I'm picking the one that I've been working with and at least has some kind of compelling narrative to them. I'm not picking this other, individual I don't know anything about. And then I feel the same way about the tribes in Act 3. What I would have liked is to have like a mission or a quest, maybe where you go on a quest with a member of the tribe and you interact with that person. They fight side by side with you. You get to know their story, maybe how it ties into the overall story of the tribe's troubles. And then that makes like the choices you have more meaningful and can bind you a little bit more to the tribe itself. Like by the time I was doing stuff for each of the tribes, I'm like, I really don't care about you people at all. Like if bad things happen, well, this whole damn world is a big bad thing. So, all right, cool. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. And I think the same thing would have been really cool with the Alchemist Guild, with the Children of Morgan. There's a choice that comes up, or not a choice really, but like an outcome that happens when you are interacting with the Children of Morgan storyline, where you are pitted against an NPC that you're introduced to earlier in the story. It would have been way more meaningful if that person would have been a companion and they're going on missions with you and you're getting to know them, and then you have to decide, are you going to fight this person to progress within the faction? That would have been a cool, like, oh shit, am I going to betray my friend? Will they attack me? Can we get out of this together? That I think would have been way more interesting than the way it played out. I think that's one thing this game could really benefit from, is if you had, like in Skyrim or in Fallout, where you have these companions who are a part of your story, you're a part of their story, that you're making choices that impact them and change the world, and then you can kind of get a more kind of realistic feedback, I think, for how you are impacting the world around you. Maybe in the next one, right? So, my overall verdict is I really like this game. The only, besides my quibbles with Act 3, I think magic is overpowered. Magic is way too powerful. It's like playing on super easy mode. I would, I don't know. I would like to play the game again. I'm going to sit it down and leave it for a while, and maybe come back to it again and try something that is not using magic. Maybe a sneak archer. I think melee would probably be the most challenging, but on veteran difficulty. But if the magic weren't as powerful, and perhaps you can do damage, but you're not, like, you can wear like heavy armor and take all the hits and with all your summons too, and you're just never in danger. Like, that draining of, like I said, stakes, danger, consequences really hobbles the game, especially near the end. Oh, that's the other thing, right? So the big showdown with King Arthur was just a joke. I was like, what? This should be the penultimate fight. And it's just like, nah, I just smoke your ass and my minions swarm you and that's it. So, alright. Well, I think this has probably gone long enough. Overall, I did love the game. I played more than 100 hours. I would recommend it to anybody who loves these kind of games. And even if it's an introductory to, these kind of story-driven role-playing games, it's probably a good one because you can get your head around it and not feel like you're getting thrashed and overwhelmed. So yeah, I would say if you haven't played it, play it. And yeah, that's about it. All right, thanks for listening, and bye for now.